let me get the microphone first. Welcome and thank you very much for participating in our panel discussion this afternoon on harnessing the fourth industrial revolution, or in other words, Industry 4.0, to help Kazakhstan accelerate the rate and sustainability of its economic and social development and to embrace pioneer innovation. My name is Hüseyin Özhan and I'll be moderating the discussion this afternoon. I'm the EBRD's country director for Kazakhstan. We're celebrating also our 30 years of operations here in Kazakhstan. I'm based in Almaty office, but I'm a very frequent visitor of Nur-Sultan. And in fact, we have an office here at the AIFC as well. With digitalization, one of the three priority themes for EBRD's 5-year country strategy, we call it the Strategic Capital Framework, supporting Kazakhstan to ensure it's able to reap the benefits from Industry 4.0 to help diversify its economy, promote innovation, and reduce rather than accentuate inequality across Kazakh society is a top priority for the EBRD. So I'm very delighted to be here today with an esteemed panel of guests who each have an interest and different lens on how best we can work together to achieve this. So please let me introduce first Dr. Kairat Kelimbetov, Governor of Astana International Financial Center, our kind hosts for this important conference, whose objective is to play a pivotal role in positioning Nur-Sultan as a global center for business and finance in Central Asia. We have online Sebastian Bakap, Head of Network and Partnerships and member of the Executive Committee of the World Economic Forum, whose founder, Klaus Schwab, first coined the term Fourth Industrial Revolution. I would like to also note that WEF is also collaborating with the Tech Hub, hosted by Astana here, on the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Kazakhstan C4IR Kazakhstan, a global public-private platform for the development of technology, governance, and policy protocols. We also have Vincenzo Acquaro, also online, joining us online, Chief of Digital Government Branch, Division for Public Institutions and Digital Government, DPIDG, at the UN's Department of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA. DPIDG focuses on analyzing and supporting efforts to make institutions inclusive, effective, accountable, and well-equipped to achieve the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Here, offline or in person, we have Zhao Zhu, or I would like to call Max, CEO of Huawei Technologies in Kazakhstan, the Chinese multinational telecommunications manufacturer. Huawei has been active in Kazakhstan for more than 25 years and also has been a significant investor in Kazakh science, technology, engineering, and mathematics university programs. We then have, again, in person here, Arman Abdrasilov, chairman of the board of Zerde National Info Communication Holding, Kazakhstan's largest state-owned company created in 2008 for the development of modern info communication technologies, implementation of disruptive projects, and creation of the United Info Communication Environment in Kazakhstan. Then again, in person, we have Mayor Sandy Frucher, former vice chairman of NASDAQ Inc., the New York-based stock exchange, and a director of the Taiwan-based Allthing Group, a blockchain technology company offering blockchain and distributed ledger solutions for industries such as finance, hospitality, agriculture, logistics, and mobility. And finally, our online, final online participant is Ivan Zaitsev, Director Market Access of OneWeb, a London and US-based communications company that aims to build broadband satellite internet services with a view to providing internet services to everyone everywhere. Without further ado, I would like to leave the floor to Dr. Kairat Kelimbetov. Thank you for hosting us today. In terms of establishing Nur-Sultan as a global financial hub, and in terms of Industry 4.0, I would like to invite you to deliver your keynote speech, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So first of all, thank you very much for all who just come to Kazakhstan to AFC. It's a great opportunity. After 2 years, we're missing each other after COVID, and I see a lot of the familiar faces. Really glad that we can cooperate more in greater details. I think that the COVID actually taught us that we can work online, but sometimes we prefer work hybrid, let's say, and I think so this is a great achievement. As an idea, the AFC was been announced in 2015, and as already the latest edition of the financial hubs. From very beginning, it was the idea that it should be digital, let's say, it should be, and remember after the crisis in 2008, so the fintech start to really evolve, and it's like a more decentralized kind of mind of the financiers that we should make finance a more area of finance sphere more democratic, let's say. That's why the blockchain started to be created, cryptocurrencies, and many stuff like this. But at the same time, finance is a very prudent area where we should be regulation authorities, ecosystem, jurisdictions is very much important. So the government of Kazakhstan decided to create a special common law jurisdiction. So we are in the former Soviet Union unique common law jurisdiction. Everybody here knows that it's very similar to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Qatar. But at the same time, we immediately realized, and then the COVID actually accelerated us to make many solutions tech-friendly. For example, if you would like to get registration in AFC, you can use so-called e-residency system, where you can just get registration online in 3 hours. The same, we have a dispute resolution authorities, like a court and arbitration center, and the COVID time, actually we realized that how provide, let's say, this dispute resolution service without meeting with each other. And I think this, it was really revolutionary, called like legal tech, when we created the new system with our Singaporean friends, Crimson Logic, who actually help us to develop the system which we called e-justice. And through, by the way, this system, we already have more than 1,000 cases in just in 3 years. You can imagine. I think that for the early stage of the development of dispute resolution authorities is really good. But from the other side, okay, here one solution, another one, but we need kind of the common platforms. That, Mr. Arman Abdrasilov here, he's a part of the government who are responsible for digital transformation of the entire country. Where this idea came from, we remember all that when in World Economic Forum we discussed what is a mega trend. So one of the mega trends was so-called fourth industrial revolution. So means that it's like a new generation of technologies which is coming and becoming a game changers in our life. So we all see all of them using smartphones and many others. So let's say 3D printing, blockchain. So all of these technologies are coming, changing our life. And no one in the world wants to be left behind. So, and Kazakhstan as well. So that's why from very beginning, government focused on diversification program on fourth industrial revolution. So we agreed with the World Economic Forum to join to network of the affiliated centers of the fourth industrial revolution. So the basic idea is very simple. So there is a kind of the database of the all knowledge which is about where this technology is being used, where is the best practice, use them in order to leapfrog to new destination of the kind of providing government services, using it in the business models, in industrial development, etc. And we very much appreciate, we're in touch with the San Francisco Center of Fourth Industrial Revolution. It's like a beginning of the process where we try to bring this best practice, for example, in data policy. At the same time, give you some example, what does it mean for our day-to-day life? For example, in Kazakhstan, we have a vast geography. So we know that we're all living in big cities or in small villages, which is very far from each other. And sometimes people cannot get access, for example, to the internet in a rural area, in somewhere in the west or in the south of Kazakhstan. So in order to provide these opportunities, we can build expensive fiber solution, or we can bring the satellite internet, like as a company, OneWeb, for example, which is simplify the life of many people, or let's say simplify the life of the government, not to spend money for this. So such examples show us that we should really watch for the solutions which is going on globally. For example, now Nasdaq is looking for the cloud solutions, and they choose us also as a partner, for example, in order to create this marketplace for the capital markets from one side, and from the other side, we try with Amazon Web Services to build also the cloud solution. And we are proud that we are probably the first regulated, let's say, a marketplace in the capital markets, which is providing services with Amazon Web Services. Definitely we are small, not like Nasdaq, which is providing, let's say, the trade platform for the top global high-tech technologies companies, but I think it's also a good example. We all know that now government is trying to provide best government services. So we've been quite successful in e-government stage. Now we are thinking about the further stage, which we call like a digital transformation or creating of so-called GovTech. And many countries like US, China are very successful on this. So it's good to have a kind of the system, which we first of all call whole of government approach, when the bureaucracy would be significantly cut and government doing within itself many stuff that will not really disturb the citizens to go to different offices. And by the way, one of the new megatrends that the post-millennials generation, including millennials, they don't need any kind of the bureaucracy, let's say, offices, or they want to get everything on their smartphones, and or even not to be care about some particular services. So this all about the, I think, new technologies, and I think is better to be not blind, but really to see big picture, and I hope that our partners in this journey will help us a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have set the scene perfectly, and in terms of what is being done currently through the IFC in Kazakhstan and how to move forward, and also talking about mega trends is extremely important here to be able to catch and sometimes get ahead of the curve as well. And then you also talked about the Nasdaq and cloud services. We also have someone from Nasdaq as well. Mayor Sandy Fruscher, who used to be the vice president of Nasdaq Inc. as well. I would like to turn to you, Mr. Fruscher. From your experience in Nasdaq listed companies and now your involvement with the blockchain solution providers, what should Kazakhstan do to ensure that it reaps the benefits of Industry 4.0, and what pitfalls should it seek to avoid? Where do they need to start, in your opinion?
As you can see, my generation still has problems adapting to new technologies. This technology has been around for about 30 years, and I'm still trying to figure out how to turn them on and off. First of all, thank you for your very kind introduction. The one part that I did not appreciate is when you demoted me to vice president. I used to be vice chairman of NASDAQ. And part of my job, or a significant part of my job, was to travel the world and try to entice people like the AIC and Kazakhstan, when they were putting together a new exchange, to use our technology. In fact, what's interesting about NASDAQ is that when NASDAQ was created, it was created to be a, let's call it a high-tech kind of exchange, going away from the specialist system that, like the kind you had at the New York Stock Exchange, and to create an electronic digital model as you progressed. When Adina Friedman became actually she became the CEO of NASDAQ, she actually set out a marker, and that is to say that she didn't want to be called a stock exchange, even though if you looked at collectively the stock exchanges that we either run or own, provide technology to, it became very, very important for NASDAQ to change its identity, and the identity was not to be a stock market, but to be a technology company. And so you see, even a company that is one of the largest, if not the largest, certainly by volume, exchange in the world, recognizing what's happening in the world today, we changed the identity to be a technology company. So I've sat here and I've listened not to just this panel, but to a number of panels. And I have to say how impressed I am with what has been happening here in this space, particularly in the Astana Financial Center, and how through that mechanism you are trying to change the perception of Kazakhstan to the world, and to say, basically, while we can't do everything at once, at least in this little island, what we are doing is accepting the best practices of the world in commerce and in technology development and utilization. And I have to say that's an extraordinary start. And actually, one of the things that impressed me most is the degree of talent that has been recruited to work in this particular island, and hoping that the waves from this island will help change all of Kazakhstan, which is critical. The single most important person to that drive from the first day I got involved, which was pretty close to the beginning, was meeting the governor, who I think is a person who grew up in a, let's just call it, isolated environment, and has become, to me, one of certainly the most effective ambassador or representative of this country, but one of the most effective proponents of that. And while we live in a time of turmoil and sometimes good change, sometimes bad change, the fact that he has been here pretty much from the first day and continues to be one of the most important ambassadors for this country, to show the world and to present to the world the kinds of changes that are happening here. And not to look at the Kazakhstan of old, but to look at the Kazakhstan of the future. But that work cannot be done by a single individual. It has to be done by a change and an upgrading of the entire ecosystem. So investment, not limited to spreading, the connectivity, the wiring, for example, that you need to do to get Wi-Fi into every section of this very large country. But you also have to have people who can adapt to those new technologies or learn those new systems. And therefore, the single most important thing that can be done wherever you are, whether you're in a company or a country who you're representing, you have to educate. And this education has to start at the earliest possible level, actually from preschool on. And you have to not just give a person the ability to have a computer, but you have to give that person the education to use that computer. My school, for example, failed miserably at it, as you can tell as I try to turn on the microphone. So I think that if you don't start at the lowest level of the education system to educate the public, you're not going to be very, very effective. Now, there are countries that are even smaller than Kazakhstan that have been able to ensure that they became or have become, and one of the best leaders in the world in this space is Israel. And they did some very interesting things. I mean, first of all, education is the name of the game. It all starts there. You must have an intelligent, educated population who are well-versed in such things as technology, but well-versed in such things as freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, the ability to go out there and articulate and understand. So I think I would start here and say this is a country that is hungry to become a major player, despite the fact that it's big in space, but relatively small in population. And the commitment of the country to the kind of reforms that I've heard over the entire time that I've been engaged since the at the start of this financial center, I was ecstatic to hear the new president's commitment both to progressive and positive change, but to major reform up and down the entire ecosystem of this country. And that's a very challenging thing to do because, you know, this country is, you know, a product of evolution. And as that process evolves, you can't be simply part of a localized consortium or country or empire, but you have to be global. And we have all learned how to be global through technology. The world could not have sustained itself during the pandemic if somebody hadn't developed Zoom and taught even idiots like me how to use Zoom. But it still needs ambassadors. It still needs models. I think what the governor and his colleagues, with the consent of the government, they created this island that has to continue to grow, not just out, and its reputation has to grow, not just outside of Kazakhstan, but inside of Kazakhstan. And where people's promises for reform have to become the rule, not the exception, where every child in this country gets a full education that allow that person to be a citizen of the world. The competition is profound. Now, when I said, you know, if you look at the state of the world as we sit today, Kazakhstan has now had an in-migration of some of the most technically Okarand people who have come from the north to currently be located here. I think the seeds that have been planted, the policies that have been articulated, and the examples that are being set effectively gives Kazakhstan a heads up in the battle for being a global player as it relates to technology.
Thank you very much, Sandy. And especially your points on human capital is very well noted, and education to bring that human capital as part of this overall Industry 4.0 will be very important. Kazakhstan is recognized as a regional and even global leader in terms of the digital revolution when we look at it, with the UN's e-governance database ranking 29th out of 193 countries globally in 2020 and up from 39 in 2018 and 83 in 2003, and in its e-government development index, which measures how a country is using information technologies to promote access and inclusion of its people by assessing three important dimensions of e-government, namely the provision of online services, telecommunication connectivity, and human capacity. Here I would like to turn to Arman. How successful has the government of Kazakhstan been so far in achieving its goal of establishing a united info communication environment in Kazakhstan, and what benefits has this generated, and what more needs to be done?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me answer in Russian language.
As has been highlighted by Dr. Kelimbetov, we are today realistically at a new stage. We are coming to the end of a lengthy road when we were digitizing our governmental services. Today, more than 94% of governmental services have been digitized. Today, we have a new term. We call it GovTech. So we are implementing the agenda of digital transformation. That is a complicated topic, I must tell you. And we're working in a pretty augmented way, both in the education, both in the psychological sphere. We work with people. And this is double as complicated to work with humans' psychology. But take it from me, we're spearheading the process. I thank all of the colleagues for your support. With each one of you, we have had meetings in person, and we know your contribution. GovTech may be divided into 7 scopes of activities: regulatory, educative, technical, etc., etc. And in all of those scopes of activities, we operate actively. We enlighten people. We educate people. At the same time, we are paying a lot of attention to infrastructural development. And I must tell that we have performed a serious infrastructural breakthrough in the last 2 years. Particularly, we have increased the throughput capacity of our internet mains by almost 2,000 times. We have managed to have meetings with our colleagues all over the globe. I hereby avail myself of opportunity to express cordial gratitude to Huawei, who have gained extensive experience not only from PRC but a number of other states of the world. So if to talk about the planning strategy top to bottom and correlated with our strategy 2050, by which we are supposed to be a member of the top 30 of the most developed countries, today we are almost twice as we are 2 times lagging behind Israel, for example, which country today is allocating and appropriating some $400 million into the development of digital area. So there's still a lot to be achieved. We need to make some significant changes and amendments to business processes in general for them to be prepared to the new ecosystem. Again, we are talking about infrastructure. Without infrastructure, no digital transformation is possible. Nothing is possible in the sphere of promotion of digital agenda in Kazakhstan. Together with Huawei in Barcelona, we attended a digital exhibition during which Huawei representatives informed the audience that in the nearest future, things like Meta Universe, Web3, and other novelties will increase the demand in digital services by almost 3 times. So comparing our today's mission and targets we have before us, we understand that the difference between our present status and the rest of the world is totally dramatic. There is still a lot we need to catch up with. We need big targets in each of individual scopes of activities. So fundamentally, we need infrastructure, we need education. Today, we need to overcome the domestic confrontation, even resistance to digitalization, both at state and personal level. We are actively dealing with that. International community that prompts us in which direction to move plays a very important role. I remember one of the latest dialogues with Mr. Macquarie several weeks ago. So again, several weeks ago, we had a chance to compare our vision with the international vision, and it looks like we are moving at the same pace, in the same direction. This is it actually on my side, and I can share more details during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Arman, for your intervention. Indeed, it's a good segue for us to go into the technological developments here, which is an important enabler for the Industry 4.0 or the fourth industry revolution that we have. So I want to turn to Max here. From your point of view, Max, nowadays the company Huawei is actively taking part in development of information system of Kazakhstan, as also just mentioned, by implementing the 4G and 5G technologies. What results have been achieved, and considering the experience that you have in China, what further projects are planned to be launched in Kazakhstan?
All right, thank you, Hussein, and it's my great honor here sharing our achievement and experiences. All right, as Mr. Hussein just mentioned in the very beginning, since year 1998 up to now, Huawei has been served for Kazakhstan ICT industry for 24 years. And over these 24 years, we have cooperated with more than 30 local partners to build the ICT facilities and serving more than 18 million people here. Since the first 4G base station was built in 2010, Huawei has helped the operator to build more than 15,000 4G sites over the country and helping more than 70% of the Kazakh people enjoy the fast 4G network experience. In addition to deploying the 4G sites in cities, we also worked with operators to deploy the 4G network in the remote villages. More than 0.85 million rural people enjoyed advanced 4G network services, enabling the people in the remote areas to enjoying the convenience of this information society. And since 4 years ago, since year 2018, we have started working with the governments and operators to discuss and research how to introduce 5G into Kazakhstan, such as the frequency clearance, the 5G technology verifications, the 5G service verifications, et cetera, et cetera. As you may know, 4G changes life, and 5G changes society. 5G enables a wide range of the vertical industries and facilitates for their digital transformation by relying on its large connections, low latencies, and high reliabilities. Well, China has taken the lead of building 5G smart cities and enabling 5G vertical industries. There are more than 20 cities in China are building 5G smart cities. More than 1,500 5G plus industrial digitalization projects are undertaken. And many successful practices has been achieved. And here I would like to share some of the cases. Let's take the 5G smart city as an example. In fact, in the smart city construction, there are many approaches. I'll take a transportation as an example. 5G can be applied to the traffic management, transportation supervision, and travel assistant. For example, there are many smart buses in China now, and 5G could help smart buses to perform the driver fatigue detection, arrival notifications, and also the traffic jam monitoring. And 5G also helps the police to analyze the traffic accidents, adjust the traffic lights intelligently, and also check the driver license quickly, and upload videos from the law enforcement recorders. That's for the 5G smart city as a transportation. So for digital government, we also have some successful cases. 5G can be applied to the urban brain, the e-government, the government openness, and business administration. For example, 5G can be used for fast data collection, mobile office, and some of the one-stop services. It can be used for production process supervision and even tax inspection, etc. Also, it can be used to send the government messages, and you can do the interaction with the normal citizens. Regarding the smart manufacturing, as you may see in the report from the news, in China, Hunan province, 5G network has been applied to the production process of one steel company called Hualin. I believe everybody knows that for the traditional scenarios for steel workshops, the workers, they need to operate the crown block on site. And the environment, normally it's full of dust and with a high temperature, right? But with the help of 5G, workers only need to sit in the office and they could remotely operate the 3 or 4 overhead cranes, improving the environment experience, and also the working efficiencies. According to our investigation, 5G has helped to increase the production efficiency more than 20%. So applying the Chinese successful practices here in Kazakhstan, we also have some visions. In the short term, Huawei is willing to work with operators, government, and our partners to explore the role of 5G in the new infrastructures, improve the digital governance of the cities, and build a digital and intelligent 5G city. In the medium term and long term, Huawei is willing to work with the vertical industry partners to explore the application of 5G in vertical industries. There are many domains such as mining, oils, etc. And we hope that we could accelerate the digitalization process in Kazakhstan. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Max. Especially the smart cities and the urban transport is very close to my heart as an infrastructure banker myself. And for Kazakhstan, as part of our new strategy as EBRD, both green cities and smart cities are extremely important. And I'm really looking forward to seeing some of those coming to actual implementation.
Sure.
I would like to now turn to our online guests. And I'd like to turn to Vincenzo, please. Kazakhstan has performed strongly in your department's e-governance database, ranking in the top 5th of countries globally. What more can the country do to harness these benefits of the Industry 4.0, and how is the UN Department of Economics and Social Affairs can or able to support this?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Let me say it's really a great pleasure to be here with you today discussing this vision for new Kazakhstan during the fourth industrial revolution and the country's path for sustainable social development. Allow me to give some insights before really go straight to your questions. Because today we live in a time when a range of severe crises and global scale are hitting many crucial sectors on our lives. The COVID-19 pandemic became a stress test on our societies, forcing us to become more innovative, resourceful, effective, and resilient in making our societies function. And the climate change is affecting the environment. So, and also armed conflicts at our proximity have a detrimental effect on global food security and supply chain, potentially reversing the gains of global poverty reduction. And economic downturns, inflation, recurrent financial crisis, the extreme inequality and are tethering social and economic systems worldwide. So in this climate, Kazakhstan, among many other countries, is pivoting to meet the challenges of sustainable development through innovation, digital technology, and digital government. We all agree that the use of digital technologies create new opportunities for development. Yet, based on the 2020 UN Government Development Index, more than 50% of the countries in the world remain well below the global average. And one reason for this is the poor and uneven accessibility to internet in the least developed countries, but also in some in the rural area for the other countries. According to ITU, half of the world population is offline or have issues on connectivity and accessibility. This gap points to persistent challenges that continue to undermine the efforts for development of many countries, including in Central Asia region. With 86% internet penetration rate in Kazakhstan, 71% in Uzbekistan, but then 51% in Kyrgyzstan, and about 22% of Tajikistan and Turkmenistan, the region faces challenges still in bridging digital divide. But this is not merely to access to internet that is crucial. We already discussed this. Many questions are raised as to how to define the internet as a resource and how to improve its utility for everyone in the upcoming years. The internet should be considered a global public good, a digital common, and an indispensable resource to fully unleash the potentiality of Industry 4.0. Fulfilling our vision for leaving no one behind will require to leave no one offline. Therefore, governments need to put effort in proactively reaching to the most vulnerable people and enhancing their access to online services. And if the benefits of increased internet connectivities are to be realized, it is also important that all actors promote open data, open source software, open AI models, open standards, and open content as digital public goods. Openness increases efficiency, transparency, accountability, and trust, the pillars of the good governance. And the demand for open and reliable data is growing, but so is the demand for privacy and cybersecurity. Technologies does not come risk-free, and the fourth industrial revolution should address also privacy concerns and cybersecurity together with data openness. In the next future, these issues will become critical. And the purpose of digital transformation is not and should not be digitalizing of existing bureaucracies. So some concrete insight. Successful digital government shift from being either present in people's life to become rather invisible, while proactively offering automated services accessible anytime, from anywhere, and at your convenience. These approaches help to reimagine the ways in which governments collaborate and interact with their constituencies, be they from public sector or from industries. In doing so, increasingly more governments deploy cutting-edge technologies in order to deliver public services to support innovation and development. The most effective strategies often rely on big data and analytics and employ frontier technologies such as AI, robotics, blockchain to ensure effective outreach and provision of services. These technologies allow the private sector and government to build up also on new capabilities and actively shape the future development scenario, allowing us to build better, inclusive, and more resilient societies. In his report titled Our Common Agenda, the United Nations Secretary General emphasized that the fourth industrial revolution has changed the world and that the digital government fosters collaboration and sustainable development. And it is a global public good that should benefit everyone, everywhere. So UNDESA strives to support all member states in providing tools for accurate assessment, prioritization of targets, and monitoring of progress in digital government development. And I'm pleased to say that in shaping Kazakhstan's future in the era of fourth industrial revolution, you can always rely on our support and collaboration. And I give you some example. In UNDESA, there is a long-standing and successful collaboration with Kazakhstan in the field of digital government and more in general in digital transformation. Since 2014, UNDESA collaborated with the Republic of Kazakhstan under the Agreement of Technical Cooperation Trust Fund. A good example of this collaboration was the first International E-Government Forum held in Astana in 2014. Over the years, also, UNDESA has also organized several workshops and advisory missions in the countries and participated at various events in Kazakhstan under the auspices of Astana Economic Forum and the Digital Bridge Forum that became traditional platforms for debating about digital economy, covering also Industry 4.0. These important events certainly help to shape a common vision for digital transformation, not only in the region, but also in the world at large. Based on the finding of the 2020 government survey, Kazakhstan is one of the leaders in the world and the forerunners of digital government for sustainable and social development. In this area of 4AR, New Kazakhstan has a special role in shaping digital agenda. We trust that our cooperation is and will continue to benefit not only for Kazakhstan, but also many developing countries within and outside the region. And to conclude, it is also worthy to highlight here that most recently, together with the government of Kazakhstan and our sister agency, UN Economic Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, we have begun the implementation of a project on testing regulatory sandboxes and policy experimentations approaches in digital innovation. We hope this project will further contribute to apply principle, approaches, and innovative tools, not yet fully supported by regulatory framework. We trust that our ongoing cooperation is and will continue to benefit not only Kazakhstan, but also our else, as well as many other developing countries within and outside the region. And for this reason, we look forward to enhancing your collaboration. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Vincenzo. It is extremely important, especially on the open digital, the new digital infrastructure, and also the open digital public good is definitely something that we will see more. Now I want to turn to Sebastian, please. We have 5 minutes left, so with apologies, I would request a quick intervention from you, limiting to two to 3 minutes. What role do you think the affiliated center of the Fourth Industrial Revolution can play in accelerating Kazakhstan adaptation to Industry 4.0? And also, if you can quickly discuss about the lessons from other countries that you see being most relevant and important for Kazakhstan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and hello, everyone. I'll try to squeeze that into 3 minutes. Not an easy challenge. So I'm representing the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution Global Network. We are soon 18 countries in that network. We're very proud to count Kazakhstan as a partner in this network, as one node in this network. Since our launch last year, and AIFC has been instrumental in making all of this possible. What's our mission? Our mission is to help leaders anticipate the effect of exponential technologies and then shape their responsible and successful adoption. What we do here is all embedded in the World Economic Forum. Clearly, when we talk about technology, we cannot talk about technology in isolation. We are in the midst of what one could call a massive reimagination of the global economy, partly driven by security concerns and a new security landscape, and of course also by climate and national resource concerns. So hence this being a World Economic Forum effort. If I could maybe just highlight in like 3 bullet points, so to say, the role of affiliate centers or the role of national centers. On the one hand, they are multi-stakeholder hubs of collaboration. That's a core principle of the World Economic Forum. And as Dr. Kelebetov said, yes, it's about a database of best practices, but I would almost take a step back and say this is really about community. It's about trust building, which are the prerequisites for shared commitments and for galvanizing momentum towards solutions. So that's a big piece of it. We are more than 250 organizations leading corporations in this network. And actually, many of them came together in San Francisco last week, with Kazakhstan having sent a delegation. As the previous speaker also mentioned, it's about agility. We are in a situation where technology is oftentimes developing much faster than the institutions they are embedded in. I think the keyword of regulatory sandboxes already fell. This is the kind of work that we're doing. We're helping countries to think in a more agile way and act in a more agile way to these kinds of changes. And the last piece, and that really brings me back again to the nature of this whole network, independent centers. We believe that, of course, these policy decisions need to be national. They need to be owned close to the people who are affected by it, but they can in many times benefit from global best practice learning. And of course, they need to be interoperable. If you take things like data policy, for instance. So multi-stakeholder, agile transformation, and the networked approach are really at the core of what we're doing. We are at the beginning of a journey with Kazakhstan. We already look back to lots of great success stories from the past 5 years with other partners. And yeah, look forward to reporting more, maybe next year already.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. I think, do we have, yes, and I would like to finally turn to Ivan. It is very important, especially from a technical enabling point of view, to be able to have internet for everyone in the country, especially for a country like Kazakhstan, which is a continent country. I'd like to turn to you now also very quickly, the last 2 minutes that we have. What do you think and how do you think, what role can OneWeb could play in supporting Kazakhstan in accelerating its transition to Industry 4.0? Ivan?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today at Astana Finance Days among other distinguished panelists. It's remarkable that this session has been tagged as a new Kazakhstan in the fourth industrial revolution, because actually both terms resonates quite well with us. We see our role in delivering connectivity in order to go beyond merely digitization, to make this tectonic shift to the innovation based on combination of technologies where reliable connectivity with low latency of signal is required. And the goals and ambitions which are designated as a part of the definition of a new Kazakhstan are planned to be met with GovTech solutions, which we're hoping also to help with in terms of connecting all regions in Kazakhstan. Well, OneWeb emerged at the time when technology matured to make possible mass production and launching controlled number of satellites to ensure that growing demand in real-time data and software applications are met. With the fiber-like connectivity powered from space, OneWeb technology is aimed to support the whole variety of use cases on demand, from cloud-based applications to video conferencing and collaboration, from Internet of Things and video surveillance to augmented reality and real-time streaming and online gaming. Well, fourth industrial revolution is all about building networks, virtual systems, and actually Internet of everything. Thus, digital revolution is poised to fundamentally change the way we work, live, and interact with one another. Yet, more striking is the number of people who lack Internet access, around 4 billion worldwide. Fiber lines are prone to cuts, complex landscape, and prohibitive cost limits opportunity of rolling out fiber everywhere. Peculiarities of building LTE and 5G mobile networks narrow the area where they're accessible. With hourly communication satellites, we're planning to help to fill these connectivity gaps by providing global affordable connectivity. OneWeb business-to-business separation model will address all consumer verticals, transforming our experience in using data services on land, at sea, and in the air. With its 650 low Earth orbiting satellites, which are always in direct visibility for sending and receiving signal, OneWeb will provide truly global connectivity platform, allowing us to enjoy exactly the same services whether we're at home, in the office, or on the move, whether in the center of megapolis or to a remote location, doing business, working, learning, helping others, or just having fun, ensuring full redundancy of critical business processes, of course. Well, our LEO satellite technology will boost digitization of business processes, adoption and growth in use of IoT solutions. It will support integration of complex transportation and logistical networks by providing seamless, full-scale digital cycle of operations and planning, from railroad stations to rolling stock, from rail to seaports, from port terminals to marine vessels, and so on and so on. By dedicated enterprise and cellular backhaul products, we will enable rollouts of corporate and public 5G networks, addressing challenges of associated costs and time to market. From traditional satellite use cases, such as first responders, to more demanding instances of digital mine or digital oil rig, OneWeb Solutions, in cooperation with local distribution and infrastructure partners, is prepared to deliver connectivity. Would it be rural community broadband access in remote and hard-to-reach areas, or carrier-class dedicated link for mobile operators? OneWeb will have affordable products and satellite user terminals. OneWeb has formed partnerships with multiple well-established and well-known market players, including such majors in terrestrial telecoms world as AT&T in the United States, British Telecom in the United Kingdom, main global integrators of mobility solutions such as Marlink for maritime, GoGo for aero. We are transforming lives of people in remote places such as Alaska by partnering with several distributors there. We're helping to build digital cities of the future by working in partnership with NEOM in Saudi Arabia, cooperating with traditional geosatellite operators such as Eutelsat, our shareholder, as well as with Hughes. As of today, OneWeb is a unique LEO system operator to provide fixed and mobility satellite services on land, at the sea, and in the air. We do not address individual end users. Instead, partnering with local distributors, augmenting their infrastructure to address needs of the enterprise and individual users. Our connectivity platform is fast in that it ensures high throughput speeds and very low latency, critical for majority of modern day applications. It's truly global in that it covers whole Earth and absolutely ubiquitous, as complex landscape is not a problem due to very convenient look angle, as satellites are always above your head and not far away at the equator. OneWeb is simple in deployment, meaning it can be installed in no time and does not require complex technical arrangements. It has Service Hub, which can be integrated with local partners, OSS and BSS systems, and will allow real-time transparency into the services rendered. Product portfolio in built-in flexibility, low cost of installations in economically efficient solutions for digitization of various processes and varied demands of customers. We have a long-term cooperation goals in Kazakhstan. We have established our local presence by incorporating at AFC as OneWeb Kazakhstan Limited. We are progressing in design and constructions of our Central Asia hub located in Kazakhstan. We have deployed our Atlas trial solution at the National Space Center, running first ever tests of LEO services in Eurasia at the Digital Bridge event last year. We're investigating opportunities of localization of production of satellite components at Galan production facility in Kazakhstan for our second generation satellite constellation. Connectivity anytime, anywhere is going to change everything. We look forward to discussing how we'll address together with our partner, Republican Center of Space Communications, known as CASSAT, the most pressing needs of our prospective enterprise and government customers in Kazakhstan and across the whole of Central Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ivan, for the rather accelerated. As you can see, we can talk about the fourth industrial revolution for hours. I would like to thank each and every one of our esteemed members and the panelists, especially Dr. Kelimbetov. Thank you very much for also hosting for this important event. Thank you all, and thank you all for coming.